Okay. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining. So we have some news on the Lauren Boebert race in Colorado's 3rd Congressional District. Some less than positive news here. It looks like Lauren Boebert will take this race by about 554 votes. That is within the automatic recount territory. It does seem to be too many votes for her. For Adam Frisch to be able to overtake her, even if they do the recount, it just seems like a margin that they're not going to be able to find the votes for. So with that said, Adam Frisch has reached out to Lauren Boebert and conceded that race. So that is a race that was supposed to be safely Republican. It was on 538 listed between R+7 and R+15. That means the margin that she should have won by was between 7 points and 15 points. And yet it doesn't look like, and yet he brought it to within a half a point. But unfortunately, that's not going to be enough to secure any type of a victory there. The final margin will be 50.08 for Lauren Boebert compared to 49.92 for Adam Frisch. So a few thoughts on this. First of all, Adam Frisch went forward in this race with pretty much no support whatsoever. Again, this was rated safely Republican. People are going to look at these races and say, it's not worth my time to do this. There are other races that are going to be close. There's Will Rollins' race in California's 41st. There's Annette Taddeo down in Florida's 27th, I believe. And so let's not throw money at a race that's going to be a waste of time and resources. He recognized, when I interviewed him about a few days back, he recognized that while the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the party, the Matt Gaetzes of the party, won by pretty staggering margins of like 50 points, Lauren Boebert had only won her race in 2020 by about 2 points. And so he knew from the beginning that she was vulnerable, even if people didn't take that seriously while he was running his race against her. So I think what this says is, moving forward, Lauren Boebert remains vulnerable. I mean, her district includes, like, I believe it's called Pitkin County. That includes Aspen, Colorado. These are people who voted against her by a 50-point margin. So she remains vulnerable. The only way that I would imagine that Lauren Boebert is not vulnerable as we look toward 2024 is if she changes course and loses the loud extremist whatever that makes her who she is. The likelihood that she's actually going to do that, I think, is little to none. So I think that, all of her, what she perceives as her appeal is the fact that she can be loud and boisterous and rile up the base and do her 5-minute cable hit on Fox, because ultimately at the end of the day, that's what these people all want. So I think that if she wants to try to make herself seem more moderate and more palatable to the people in her district, she's going to lose the one thing that makes her who she is. So do I see her tamping it down? No. And what that means, though, moving forward, is that she will remain vulnerable as we head into 2024. So she kind of can't. She has to pick a lane here. She can either remain like the loudmouth that she is and continue to rile up the base as she does, and that's who she is. That's what makes her who she is. That's how she's gotten her star power on the right. But in doing so, she'll continue to alienate her base in her district in Colorado's 3rd. On the flip side, if she moderates a little bit to try to regain some of that support that she's lost by an exponential amount in Colorado's 3rd congressional district, then she loses all of her fundraising ability and all of the cable time, and that's really, at the end of the day, what these people want. I mean, we're in an attention economy right now, and she wants every bit of that she can get. So it's going to be a tough road moving forward for her. And I think that what we have to do looking forward to 2024, and it kind of sucks to have to say this because we just got done with 2022, but it takes time for some of these congressional candidates who had been written off by people in the past, like Marie Newman, for example, who faced Dan Lipinski up in Illinois. She was running for a House seat up there. Dan Lipinski was one of the only anti-choice Democrats that remained in the House. She ran a close race against him in 2018. She just barely lost. And in 2020, she finally beat him. So these things are more of a marathon as opposed to a sprint. And I think that now that Adam Frisch, now that people recognize that A, he has a solid chance, and B, that he is palatable, not just for Democrats in that district, but independents and even 10-15% of Republicans, which, just was a few percentage points away from what he actually needed to be able to win this race. Now that we know that, as we look into 2024, he does have a good chance of winning, and we can focus on that race and put the right amount of money into get out the vote efforts into that race and look toward unseating her in 2024. So again, with that said, I know it's a tough pill to swallow, because that would have been a really that would have been nice to watch Lauren Boebert lose, but at least find solace in the fact that she is moving forward with this race in the most electorally precarious position that she's ever been in, and just a few hundred votes away from losing her seat in Congress. You saw it happen to Madison Cawthorn. It can happen to her. So, stick around. This Colorado's 3rd congressional district will continue to be a place that we focus our attention, and rightfully so. Adam Frisch, I think, is a good candidate, and is a candidate who can absolutely win that race if he just has a little bit more support in that district, which I think he'll have moving forward. I think he'll have a lot of support. I think that'll probably be one of the most nationalized races that exist in the entire country as we look forward to 2024. But until then, that's how, unfortunately, this one went. Again, for people just joining right now, Lauren Boebert will eke out a victory in her race in Colorado's 3rd congressional district by about 554 votes. Adam Frisch did concede. Lauren Boebert took to Twitter and said, "Adam Frisch called me to concede this race. I look forward to getting past election season and focusing on conservative governance in the House majority," because she's looking to govern. As we all know, governance is a huge plank of the Republicans' platform here. The irony, of course, is that she was so quick to take to Twitter to let everybody know that her opponent conceded, even though her entire political ideology is a refusal to concede or to accept losses in close races when she isn't happy with the outcomes. So it's ironic how quick she'll accept a concession when it's somebody conceding to her, but if it was a matter of accepting losses when it's on her side, she'll support, she'll go so far as to support an insurrection if that's what it means, not to accept the outcome of a race there. So, just the ultimate irony and the asymmetry between the two parties when you have somebody like Adam Frisch who's not going to drag this thing out versus somebody like Lauren Boebert whose entire identity is predicated on a failure to accept election results when she's not happy with them. So, with that said, I do apologize for the bad news, but I did tell you, throughout this entire election season that as soon as we have the results for that race, that I'll come on and do a live so that I can let you know as soon as I knew. So, again, not the results that we wanted, but we have those results regardless. It also wouldn't have made a difference in terms of the broader outcome for the House. Democrats will lose the House by maybe 222 to 214, something like that. So that's what we're looking at right now. It's going to be about an 8-seat margin between the two parties. Democrats will retain control of the U.S. Senate, though, and we'll look forward to the runoff in Georgia. I think one important thing that's important to remember in Georgia, there are 3 reasons why the Georgia runoff is important. And I know that some people might be looking at this and saying, like, oh, we already have a majority in the Senate, so what's the point? 3 reasons. The first is that right now, because it's a 50-50 split in the Senate, we have sharing agreements, and in order to confirm judicial nominees, for example, you need something called a discharge petition. That requires another vote, which means that any judicial confirmations by the Biden administration are even slower than they would normally be because of the sharing agreement. Those would go away with a 51-49 Senate, which means that we would be able to confirm judges at an exponentially faster clip than what we're doing right now. And what we're doing right now, by the way, is fast as it is. We have a faster pace with which we're confirming judges than even Donald Trump had. So that's something that's good to remember. The second thing is that the Senate map in 2024 is pretty devastatingly brutal. Democrats are protecting seats in Nevada, Arizona, Montana, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio. So not exactly the most favorable map. Of the 33 seats that are up, 23 of them are held by Democrats. And the best pickup opportunities for Democrats are in Texas and Florida. So that should give you an indication of the kind of race that we're looking toward as we head toward 2024. So a really brutal Senate map for Democrats moving forward, which means that we need this cushion. We need a 51-49 cushion much more than we need a 50-50 split in the Senate. This will be monumentally important. Let's say we do, unfortunately, lose one race in 2024. We can afford that if we have a 51-49 split. So that's going to be important. And the last thing is just the significance of keeping someone like Herschel Walker out of the Senate and keeping someone like Raphael Warnock in the Senate. I mean, Raphael Warnock is like this tireless advocate, this empathetic beacon of what people should be, of what a servant should be, a civil servant should be, and that is somebody who should be rewarded. The flip side of that is you have someone like Herschel Walker who, errant synapses fire in his brain and some words fall out of his face. And that's pretty much his sole qualification. He was good at football a few decades ago. So, I mean, this is just like more broadly in just a general appreciation of the democratic experiment we have here to reward good people and maybe not have these terrible incentives for really bad people like Herschel Walker to run. I think that we just more broadly need to make sure that, Republicans know that candidate quality matters, and when they have people who are eminently unqualified for office, that they're not going to have a shot to win these races. We saw it with Dr. Oz, we saw it with Carrie Lake, we saw it with Doug Mastriano, we saw it with Tim Michels. All across the country, we had bad candidates lose. And I think that was a huge wake-up call to Republicans. But this would be the nail in the coffin. And this would show them that if you just run anybody that you think could be a rubber stamp and who's going to parrot talking points that are passed down from Tucker Carlson, it ain't going to work. So I think this is going to be especially important in that respect in terms of like the future of democracy and the kind of candidates who are running to represent us in the federal government. So with that said, I appreciate you guys taking the time and watching. Again, I apologize for the bad news here, but that's the way it goes with some of these races. But we'll look toward 2024 with this race, and Colorado's 3rd congressional district will be top of mind as we move forward into these next elections. So all is not lost. This is just one step, in this marathon, and I'll continue to do what I can to elevate someone like Adam Frisch if he decides to run again, and make sure that Lauren Boebert becomes I believe it's a two-term congressperson, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see when she first got elected. 2020, yeah. So we'll do what we can to make sure that she is a 2-term congressperson here. With that said, thank you guys for watching. I would just ask real quick, if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, I apologize, by the way, I know that there's some feedback. I'm going to work on that right now. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please throw me a subscribe. That's the best way to support what I do and to follow these races. So any more news, I'll continue to highlight it here. But yes, please throw me a subscribe. That's the best way to support my work. With that said, thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned because I'll be releasing a video shortly today.